I stared at my banking app this morning for what felt like 10 minutes straight. I kept refreshing the page thinking maybe the real number hadn't loaded yet, but it stayed the same. After 30 days of saying no to happy hours, packing my lunch, and feeling like I was grinding so hard my total debt balance went down by exactly $40. That's it, just 40 bucks. It felt like I had been running a marathon, sprinting with everything I had, only to look down and realize I had moved about 2 inches. This is my real-time journey, not expert advice. Here is exactly what happened. Honestly, this hurts more than the months where I completely mess up. When I overspend on a trip or buy a gadget I don't need, I can point to the mistake and say, okay, I messed up there. But this feels like I did everything right, and the math just laughed in my face. I remember sitting at my kitchen table staring at that number, $40, and feeling this heavy sinking weight in my chest. It wasn't anger, it was exhaustion. It's that specific kind of burnout where you wonder if the struggle is actually worth the result. I think this is what they call the Plateau of Latent Potential in Atomic Habits, but knowing the theory didn't make me feel any better in the moment. In my head, I had done the work. I had skipped the expensive coffees I had cooked at home almost every night. I felt like I was making massive sacrifices. So, logically, I expected a massive reward. I wanted to see that balance drop by $400 or $500 so I could get that dopamine hit, that little good job sticker from the universe. Instead, I got $40. That's barely a tank of gas. That's a couple of pizzas. It felt insignificant. And the worst part? The interest. I know how it works mathematically, but seeing it in practice is brutal. It felt like I was shoveling money into a furnace just to keep the fire from burning the house down, rather than actually putting the fire out. I sat there closing my laptop, seriously considering just buying something stupid on Amazon because, well, if the needle isn't moving anyway, why am I making myself miserable? That thought scared me. That's the danger zone. That's where the 1% journey feels like it's stalling out. So I took a deep breath, opened the spreadsheet back up, and decided to actually look at where the money went, instead of just feeling sorry for myself. So I pulled up the raw data. I needed to see the autopsy of my paycheck. I opened my tracking spreadsheet, the one I color-code red and green, and the first thing I saw was the interest charge. It stared back at me like a bully. I had actually sent a payment of $450 to my credit card this month. That was real money that left my bank account. But the bank took $410 of that just for interest. They essentially ate 90% of my effort, leaving me with that pathetic $40 dent in the principal balance. It's humiliating. It feels like running on a treadmill. That's set just a little too fast. You're sweating, your heart is pounding, but the scenery never changes. But, and I have to be brutally honest here, it wasn't just the interest. When I scrolled further down the transaction log, I started seeing the leaks. These weren't big, dramatic purchases. I didn't go buy a new TV. I didn't go on a shopping spree. These were invisible ghost expenses that I had conveniently forgotten about. There was a $14.99 charge for a streaming service I swore I was going to cancel 3 weeks ago. I saw it, remembered thinking, I'll do that later, and then clearly didn't. Then there were the reward coffees. I realized that every time I managed to say no to a big lunch purchase, I would reward myself with a $6 latte later that afternoon because I felt like I deserved it. I found 4 of those, that's 24. Then there was the convenience store run. $18 on snacks because I was too tired to cook the meal prep I had in the fridge. When I added up these little leaks, they totaled almost $60. If I hadn't spent that, my debt would have gone down by $100 instead of $40. Still not a lot, but double what I achieved. But looking at these numbers, I realized something deeper was happening. I've hit the boring middle. In the beginning of this journey, everything was exciting. I was setting up the channel, making the spreadsheets, cutting up credit cards. There was adrenaline. Now it's just Tuesday. It's just the grind. The novelty has worn off and the reality of the long haul has set in. I think that's why those little leaks happened. My brain was bored. It was looking for a little excitement, a little variety, a little break from the monotony of being responsible. I let my guard down because nothing catastrophic was happening. It's easy to be disciplined during a crisis. It is incredibly hard to be disciplined when life is just flat. I was waiting for a big win to motivate me, but because the math is so slow right now, the motivation evaporated. I felt stuck in what James Clear calls the valley of disappointment. That gap between what I expect to happen, linear progress, and what actually happens, the slow curve. I sat there looking at that $14.99 subscription charge and felt so stupid. It's such a small amount, but it represents a lack of focus. I was autopilot spending again. Not in a big way, but in a way that kept me stagnant. I realized that while I can't control the interest rate right now, I could have controlled those leaks. I gave away my progress for a TV show I didn't watch and some coffees I didn't need. But then I forced myself to zoom out. I looked at that $40 number again, and I tried to see it differently. In the past, this is exactly the moment where I would have thrown my hands up, said, "This is impossible," and gone out to spend $100 on dinner just to feel better. I would have turned a slow month into a disastrous one. But this time, I didn't. I stayed in the chair. I logged the numbers. I faced the reality. That, right there, is the 1% win. The win wasn't the number on the screen. The win was the fact that I didn't quit when the number was disappointing. I realized that the Plateau of Latent Potential isn't just a fancy concept from a book. It's a filter. It filters out the people who want easy results from the people who are actually changing their lives. The results are lagging behind my habits right now. I'm doing the work, but the interest rates are hiding the progress. That doesn't mean the progress isn't happening. It's like an ice cube sitting in a room that's slowly warming up. You don't see it melt until the very end, but the temperature is rising. So here is my 1% adjustment for next month. I'm not trying to magically find $1,000, I'm just going to plug the leaks I found today. I immediately canceled that $14.99 subscription. It's gone. And I'm setting a rule. No reward coffees on weekdays. If I want a reward, it has to be free, like a walk or playing a video game I already own. These are tiny changes, barely noticeable, but they will add up to another $50 or $60 next month. And right now, every dollar is a soldier fighting that interest rate. If you are in the boring middle right now, please know you aren't failing. You are just storing up potential energy. We are just building the foundation so that when the breakthrough finally comes, we can actually handle it. My 1% mission for tomorrow is just to move $1 from checking to savings. That's it. Just $1. What's your 1% step? Will you check your bank statement for just one recurring subscription you don't use and cancel it? Even if it's just $5. Let's share our small wins in the comments below. I am not a financial expert or advisor. This content is for documenting my personal journey and for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research before making any financial decisions.